Well, welcome back. This is the Commercial Mastery series. I hope you're getting excited. We are really covering some awesome ground right now in this module. This is how to make an offer. I'm Kevin Derrick, and I'm going to take you through step by step in how we make offers in commercial real estate. Now, the nice thing to know is that your commercial real estate agent, your broker, is going to help you through these different elements. But this is where it starts, and you can use a broker or you can do this on your own. You know, in typical real estate, we put together a long contract and we submit that, and then it's either accepted or countered or rejected, as you know. Well, fortunately, things are a lot easier in commercial real estate. We have a tool that helps us to get the terms of negotiation out on the table. Once we negotiate the terms, we come to a satisfactory agreement on both sides, and then both parties agree to go to contract. It starts with the document right behind me, and it's a letter of intent or an LOI. Now, this is a simple LOI that you can use right away. It's a template that you can modify very quickly and submit. I'm going to take you through every single step. So, in the last module with the spotter, which is just an awesome module to go through, we learned that we can analyze the numbers quickly and determine whether we've spotted a good deal. When we do spot a good deal, what we want to do is figure out the terms of the deal, and then we want to put them in an LOI so that we can submit an offer. That's all it takes. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to go through this LOI step by step so you can see exactly how we are going to do things when we work one-on-one together if we have that opportunity. So we've created a sample company called ABC Investing. We put today's date on here. This is a cover letter, page 1 of 3. Dear Paul, Paul is the seller. It was a pleasure to meet you last Friday to view the Good Deal Apartments. Now, quite honestly, I've never seen an apartment complex with that name, but doggone it, if I find one, I will certainly take a look at it, because we're always looking for a good deal. And by the way, you don't have to have this terminology. You don't necessarily have to use this verbiage. It's just a sample. I've found that it works very effectively. I appreciate the time, or you can say we appreciated the time that you spent in showing us the complex. We like many things about the property, so attached is a letter of intent for your review. Our group believes it is a strong offer based on the actual operating data of the asset, and we are confident that we can reach an agreement that will lead to a satisfactory conclusion for both of us. We have done some homework on the asset and have put together an offer that shows both interest and flexibility. Our team would provide the energy and commitment of both time and resources to make this an outstanding success for both parties. I look forward to moving toward a purchase contract. I sign it respectively. In this case, it's Bob the buyer, and the company that Bob has created is called ABC Investing. So 3 pages to this LOI. Page 1 is the cover letter, just introducing what's happening. Parenthetically, have you ever wanted to maybe just put down some comments to explain how you've arrived at your offer when you've made an offer? Well, I know I have, and I was so glad that in commercial real estate, that's exactly what we do. Now, I don't know that every seller reads what we have on the LOI. It's very possible that they don't. I try to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. Notice that I'm not really talking about myself. I always try to use a plural. It's we, it's the company, and then I focus on the analytics. Okay? We have a phrase in commercial real estate where we say the seller, the owner, is guilty until proven innocent. And what that means is that we don't necessarily have to beat him up now. We've already established the guilt of the property and that it's probably not operating the way that he wants it to operate. You know, if it was unbelievable profit and cash flow for him, you know what, he probably wouldn't necessarily be selling right now, depending on his motivation. So we've got to figure that there are a few things things that need to be tweaked with the property. We're excited. We're new owners, new buyers coming in, and so we don't need to beat them up in the LOI. What we're doing is just using the property to build our battle for us. I call it using third-party stories, okay? You have enough going on as a buyer with the global economics, with lending, and with distressed assets that you don't need to do any hardball. You can use everybody else to do that for you. So page one is going to be our cover letter for the letter of intent. Now, on page two, we actually have the letter of intent, all right? It's 2 pages. So as you can see, we just simply put the purchaser, and I put everything down here, so all you have to do is use this template, and you can build this very, very quickly and submit it either directly to the owner or through your real estate agent or broker. We put the purchaser. I like to put the seller's name. In this case, it's Paul Seller of Owner Investments. How's that for creativity? And the property is the Good Deal Apartments. It's that 20-unit apartment building on Main Street that we love so much in the beautiful Anytown, USA. Now, we go right into the purchase price. I don't hide anything. Now, folks, let me tell you this, that we've received letters of intent that are meant to be very difficult to understand. I mean, these letters of intent, have 4 and 5 different options. They're meant to try to confuse, folks. And when I see those, I immediately push back to them saying, hey, you know what? If I can't understand it, I'm not interested. And it really goes back to those 2 elements. You've got to be able to have understanding and trust. I think that you agree. And so in this case, we are trying to build those 2 elements. We are trying to make this very, very easy, not complex. Okay? We're not trying to show how incredibly good we are at building a complex document. Leave that for lawyers. We're investors. We're in this to make money. So let's get right to the price. I give option 1. Now, have I done more than 2 options? Of course I have. It depends on the deal. But in this deal, it's very simple. We're giving option number 1 to owner Phi, and we'll buy it for $875. So we're going to pay a lot more if he's going to give us good terms. And then the option number 2 is we'll go ahead and put our own financing on it, and we'll buy it for $806,750. Now on here I do have conventional loan with owner financing, and by that I simply mean that the owner is being asked to hold a note. Terms are negotiable, and so we could ask him to hold the down payment, to hold 10%, whatever, it's negotiable. I think most commercial sellers and owners right now understand that they're going to be asked to hold something because lending is tough. And again, right now, with the economics that we have in our country, and we've had them for a long time, the seller and the buyer want to make the deal go. Okay, so the last thing that the buyer wants is to not be able to get the leverage that they need or the terms that they need. Same thing for the seller, but the seller doesn't want to tie up the property for 3, 4, 5 months and then have the buyer go ahead and bounce. Okay, so there's protection on both parts. In fact, these days, be ready to get qualified. Some commercial owners are going to want to know that you've got an opportunity to actually get financing before they allow this to go into contract. All right, so does that look good? So we've got the seller description, property description, we put our purchase price down. You can already see why this is such a powerful methodology. I mean, this is just a great way of getting after, okay, let's show our interest in the property. Here are the terms that we're thinking of right now. What do you think? And folks, literally, sellers and owners will take the letter of intent and mark it up and send it back. Had that happen with apartments, I've had that happen with retail, and it's really funny, but that's exactly what happens. So, literally, even in this technology age, now, sometimes we'll redline a Word document, depending on the savviness, of the agent, that type of thing. But quite often you'll just see somebody taking a pen and they're going to cross that out and say, no, I don't like that. This is what I want. And then we're able to go back and forth to see if we can agree on terms in the LOI to get to contract. So we deal next with the earnest and the earnest money deposit. What we're putting down here is $10,000 due within 3 business days of acceptance. And then all earnest money deposits shall be deposited at a title company. Just boilerplate stuff right there. Conditions of closing, I do recommend that you have this paragraph in here. Property should be free and clear of all liens and encumbrances. And by the way, just because something is in an LOI doesn't mean that it will make it to the contract. All right, so just be aware of that. If you agree on terms of the LOI, that's great, but ultimately it's your obligation under the actual contract that you will live by. We do have contingencies. I put in that the purchaser, that's us, has the right to a 30-day due diligence. So on our timeline, we are going to put this LOI together, submit the LOI. We're going to negotiate the LOI. Once we're good, we go to contract. Once we go to contract, our due diligence period starts. All right. And there are actually 4 main events on our due diligence timeline, and we'll deal with that in another module. All right. So we'll give you everything that you need. We talk about professional inspections, as you can see. The fact that the seller shall deliver to purchaser detailed income and expense information. What that means is that once we get under contract and do our due diligence, we are waiting for the seller to give us everything that we need. And once we have everything that we need, then the due diligence period will begin after the receipt of those documents. So you want to be ready. And then I just put down here, detailed reports shall include, like the lease agreements, you want rent rolls, tax returns, P&Ls, utility bills, any CapEx that's been done, any escrow accounts you want. Along with the rent roll, you want to know all of the different lease information, termination of leases when they started, the amount of deposits or escrow that people have given, any pending legal actions against the building, any violations, that type of thing, okay? So that's page number 1. All right, page number 2, more boilerplate that I like to get in here when possible. Okay, so notice the next page, if you would. And the third page deals with a financing contingency. All right, initially, you can see that. So our financing contingency says if conventional financing is needed, we expect that the bank will require an appraisal for valuation due to the fact that we'll not expect funding approval for 45 days. And then we have our loan to value requirement along with the interest rate, okay? We talk about closing. Again, everything is negotiable. Kevin, what in the world should I put for closing? Well, you know, in residential, we can close in 10 days when we buy cash. In commercial, you know, our due diligence period is gonna last quite a while. And so, you know, sometimes we can rock and roll on a close, but it could be several months before we actually take possession of the asset. The closing costs are included. All right, I just put seller will provide $10,000 toward purchaser's closing costs. Any owner in their right mind will cross that out. But you know what I do in the LOI is I do give them a few items that they can cross out just so that they feel really good about doing that. I know I like that as a seller. I want to be able to know that, hey, you know, no. But if we can get them to say yes on the things that we really want them to, I'll put in a few just extra things that they can say no to just so that everybody feels better. All right, just a little experience there. Survey, site access, and existing documentation, all boilerplate, real estate fees, and then the miscellaneous that the above outlines the present intention of the purchaser, but does not constitute an offer on the part of any party. And the reason that I mention that is just so that you have the confidence to know that when you're submitting an LOI, that you're not binding yourself in any way. Okay, submitting an LOI means that you could submit 30 of these things and you haven't bound yourself to anything. You know, if you're sending off a contract for a single family REO, they accept that thing, you know, you are under contract. You can bounce with an inspection contingency, but basically you're under contract. With the LOI, it's a powerful negotiation tool because we can manipulate all of these different term elements, building our own our own platform of what's important for us and what we want to get in the deal. And once the owner agrees with our platform and what we need to do to move ahead to contract, then we're good to go. All right, so you really know now how to find the commercial property, how to analyze it, and how to create a letter of intent. Literally, how to start making an offer for commercial real estate. I mean, this is exciting, and it's a great opportunity for you to use commercial real estate to build an empire and to build great profit for yourself. So thanks for going through this module. I hope it was extremely beneficial. Watch it through a couple more times just so that you get a good feel of the LOI template, the letter of intent. All right. Speaking of negotiating terms, why don't you head to the website now for a couple of minutes and look at the opportunities that you have for the one-on-one mentorships. It's really cool when we're together on the ground for a few days, actually looking at property, analyzing together, and then getting that computer out and putting a letter of intent together and submitting it. That's what it's all about. Check out the website. I'll see you in the next module.